Have you ever found yourself sitting in your favorite chair, staring out the window, and suddenly realizing it's been days since you've had a real conversation with someone? Or maybe you've walked into a room and forgotten why you went in there again and thought, is this just part of getting older? Let me tell you something, friend. It doesn't have to be this way. Isolation and forgetfulness aren't just inevitable parts of aging. In fact, there are simple, joyful habits you can start today to stay connected, keep your mind sharp, and wake up every morning feeling excited about life. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. You know, I had a conversation with my neighbor Martha last week. She's 78, lives alone, and she told me, some days the only voice I hear is my TV. My heart just broke for her because Martha's witty, loves gardening, and has stories that could fill a book. But over time, her world got smaller, and she started feeling like her mind was shrinking right along with it. Sound familiar? Here's the good news. Science shows that our brains and our moods thrive on two things: connection and challenge. So today, I'm sharing 5 habits that tackle both. These aren't complicated fixes or expensive hobbies. They're simple, everyday choices that can help you feel more alive, more you, than you've felt in years. Let's dive in. First habit, rewire your social life, one tiny connection at a time. Let's start with something we all crave but don't always prioritize: connection. Now, I'm not talking about throwing a big party or forcing yourself to make small talk with strangers. That's exhausting. Instead, think small, think meaningful. Did you know that even a 10-minute chat with someone can boost your memory and mood for hours? It's true. Take my friend Carl. After his wife passed, he spent months alone in his apartment until his granddaughter signed him up for a weekly coffee and crossword group at the library. At first, he grumbled about it. Crosswords? I'll do them at home. But now, he's the first one there every Tuesday. He's got a new crew of pals, and he swears his brain feels lighter, like he's thinking clearer, all because he gave himself permission to show up. Here's your first step. Choose one day this week to connect on your terms. Maybe it's inviting a neighbor over for tea, joining a gentle yoga class, or even calling an old friend while you fold laundry. And if you're thinking, but I'm not a people person, that's okay. Even waving to the mail carrier or chatting with the cashier at the grocery store counts. Your brain lights up every time you interact with someone. It's like a mini workout for your mood and your memory. Second habit, move your body, but make it playful. Now, let's talk about movement. I can already hear some of you groaning. Exercise, really? But stick with me. This isn't about running marathons or lifting weights. It's about finding ways to move that feel like play, not punishment. Because when you combine movement with fun, you're not just helping your joints and heart. You're feeding your brain, too. Take dancing. My husband and I put on old Motown hits every Saturday morning and shuffle around the kitchen. We look ridiculous, but by the end, we're breathless, laughing, and honestly, it's like a fog lifts from my mind. Studies back this up. Activities that mix movement and mental engagement, like dancing, tai chi, or even gardening, strengthen the parts of your brain that handle memory and focus. Your challenge? Find one playful movement to try this week. Maybe it's tossing a ball with your grandkid, joining a water aerobics class, or even marching in place during TV commercials. The key is to smile while you do it. When you enjoy yourself, you'll stick with it, and that's where the magic happens. Third habit, become a beginner again. Okay, confession time. I started learning to knit last month and, well, let's just say this scarf looks more like a pot holder. But here's the thing. I love it. My hands are busy, my brain is figuring out these stitches, and for an hour a day, I'm not worrying about anything else. That's the power of learning something new. Whether it's knitting, painting, baking sourdough, or even learning a few phrases of Spanish on an app, tackling a new skill forces your brain to grow. It's like sending your mind to the gym, but instead of dumbbells, you're using curiosity. And guess what? You don't have to be good at it. The goal isn't perfection, it's engagement. Think back to something you loved as a kid, maybe drawing, singing, or building model planes. What if you gave yourself permission to try it again, just for the joy of it? This week, pick one thing, anything, that makes you feel like a beginner. Your brain will thank you, and who knows, you might just surprise yourself. You know, when Martha started joining that gardening club I mentioned earlier, she told me something I'll never forget. She said, "I thought my best days were behind me, but now I feel like I'm just getting started." And that's the beauty of these habits, isn't it? They're not about adding more to your plate. They're about rediscovering the joy that's already inside you. So try one of these this week, just one. And when you're ready, I'll meet you back here to talk about the next steps. Because you got so much life left to live, and I can't wait to see where it takes you. You know, after we talked last time, I got a message from a viewer named Gerald. He said, "I started dancing in my kitchen like you suggested. Turns out my dog's a terrible dance partner, but we're both laughing a lot more." Isn't that wonderful? It's those little shifts that add up to something bigger. And today, we're going to keep that momentum going with two more habits that'll help you feel connected, sharp, and truly alive, no matter what age the calendar says. Let's start with a question. When was the last time you lost track of time? I don't mean dozing off during the news. I mean being so wrapped up in something that hours felt like minutes. Maybe it was a project, a conversation, or even a good book. That feeling? That's your brain firing on all cylinders, fully engaged, and it's something we can cultivate intentionally. Let me show you how. Fourth habit. Create anchor moments in your day. Life after 70 can sometimes feel untethered. Maybe the structure of work or raising a family is behind you, and now the days stretch out a bit emptier. But here's the thing. Our brains thrive on rhythm, not rigid schedules, but gentle, comforting anchors that give the day meaning. I call these anchor moments, and they're simpler than you think. Take my friend Louise. She told me mornings used to drag until she started a tiny ritual. Every day after breakfast, she spends 10 minutes writing down one thing she's curious about. Some days it's, why do sunsets turn pink? Other days, what's the story behind that old house on Elm Street? Then she spends a few minutes looking it up or asking a neighbor. It's become her favorite part of the day, and it sparked conversations with folks she'd never met before. Here's your challenge. Pick one time of day, morning, afternoon, or evening, and anchor it with a tiny, joyful ritual. Maybe it's brewing tea and savoring it while you listen to a favorite song. or calling a friend every Tuesday at 3 p.m. to share a funny memory. These anchors aren't just about routine. They're about giving your brain and your spirit something to look forward to. And when you have something to anticipate, isolation doesn't stand a chance. Fifth habit, turn memories into medicine. Now, let's talk about something we all have plenty of, memories. But here's a twist. Instead of just reminiscing, what if we use them to fuel our future? Studies show that reflecting on positive experiences, especially when we share them, boosts mood, sharpens recall, and even strengthens our sense of purpose. It's like turning the past into a vitamin for the present. Take this photo of me at 55 huffing up a trail in the Rockies. I hadn't thought about that trip in years until my grandson asked, "Grandma, did you ever do anything scary?" Telling him that story, the icy wind, the view from the summit, made me realize I'm still that person, just with a few more wrinkles and a better sunscreen habit. So here's what I want you to try. Once a week, share a memory with someone. Not just remember when, but really tell the story. Describe the smells, the jokes, the mishaps. Text a childhood friend about that time you got lost at the county fair. Write a grandkid a letter about your first job. Or even talk to your pet. They're great listeners. When you share these stories, you're not just reliving the past, you're reminding yourself and others how vibrant your life has been and still is. You know Gerald, the guy with the dancing dog, sent me another note yesterday. He said, "I started anchoring my mornings with crossword puzzles and a phone call to my sister. Now she's hooked too, and we're both sleeping better." Isn't it something? These habits aren't just about doing, they're about connecting. To others, to yourself, to the life you've built, and the one you're still creating. And the best part? You're already carrying everything you need to start. Pause with a knowing glance at the camera. So go ahead, find your anchor, share a story, and watch how the world starts to feel a little brighter. And when you're ready, I'll be right here waiting with one last habit that might just tie it all together.